Welcome to the Dirt Library for our Dirt Library news, Dirt Library currents.
Put this out, mark this day with Trump's leadership. We had gas at $1.95. Interest rates were 2%, a little over 2%. Stock market 30,820 plus with COVID. Best economy in history. No new wars. North Korea under control. Trade equalized. Mideast peace deals. Unemployment 6.7% with COVID. Let's see where we're at in 4 years. I hope we don't have to wait 4 years there, Michael. I hope it's just a few more months and this nightmare is over. I put this picture from Los Angeles on the right side. Look at the gas prices. Regular $5.73, $5.83, and up to the top $5.93. And it looks like diesel's at $5.99 a gallon. So you're losing your jobs. You're told to lock down. Can't go anywhere. They tell you that if you do go somewhere, well, you got to fill up your gas tank. Look how much it's going to cost you. They're figuring out the way. They being the enemy of the people. We have all of these viruses, folks, in our body. And I was watching a guy named Clay interview with Scott McKay, and he details it in detail. I'll put the description, hopefully the link in the description box below if I can remember. And he details everything that's playing out, even scripturally, on how this pandemic has all been planned out for many, many years. And I put it in previous videos. Even showed you in the past how they even do this projection in Hollywood. And I didn't have the time to pull it up, but just trust me, if you go back to Indiana Jones, the first two movies, 1980, we had a virus come out, right? And it was from his buddy Wuhan was the name of the boy. And then the movie in 1984, the Indiana Jones movie, they had Corona going into the ocean. So you had Wuhan and Corona projected years ago. If you don't believe me, go look it up. Breitbart News said box office earnings fell in $2.2 billion in 2020. It's down 80% from 2019's $11.4 billion. Excellent. Thanks to the nationwide coronavirus closures and lockdowns in major movie markets from New York City to LA, they're falling. I'll tell you what, they're getting a wake-up call, and many others are getting a wake-up call. We're finding who holds the truth and who doesn't. And then speaking about the wall, it just so happens that Fox seems to be talking about it. We know it's a distraction, but still, it's information that's interesting that they're putting out, even from Donna Perino.
He narrowed it down to 3 issues. He said, you want border security, you need technology, manpower, and infrastructure. They've got the technology through drone support now. They've got manpower, but they need more help at the border. The infrastructure was all about the wall. Well, the wall stopped. So what happens when Border Patrol goes to a certain area, the migrants know where they can go through. Mm-hmm. And if the border has a gap in it, and if Border Patrol is taken off to take this group of individuals on a bus to another town, to a detention facility, the smugglers know that Border Patrol's left that area, and there's a gaping hole in that wall where they know where to come through. It is absolute cat and mouse down there, and we have no way of stopping this right now under the current laws.
I think there's a fourth thing, which is what the Trump administration was doing very well, and I think the Biden administration could have continued, and they would not have been criticized for it, and that was working with those governments in those other countries to keep their people from coming, because there's no deterrent. And telling them don't come yet is not a deterrent.
That policy is being revived right now. We'll see how it changes there, okay?
Interesting, right? Coming from these guys, the lamestream media, Fox News changing and now actually telling some bit of truth. Shocking to me. I don't know what's going on. I mentioned it before. They're supposed to be on the demonic side, the evil side, and for some reason they're putting out what seems to be truth. Could it be still just a distraction to get us to stop looking at the election? Who knows? Well, anyway, Jonathan Swan says new from Steph W. Kite. The Biden administration was awarded an $86 million contract for hotel rooms near the border to hold around 1,200 migrant family members who cross the U.S.-Mexico border. That's a lot of money for 1,200 folks. $86 million contract for hotel rooms. And look on the right. How'd they treat our military? No, they didn't get a hotel room. They just make them sleep on the floor and sleep on the garage. But if you come in from another country illegally, you don't fill out the paperwork, don't do things like you're supposed to, and if you're a criminal, just cross the border and you're going to get a nice hotel room and $86 million contract for 1,200 folks. Man, you're going to be up in a 5-star one there, for folks. So if you're listening in, you're illegal. Boy, you've got a great chance to come on over, is what it looks like to them. So what does President Trump say? Statement by him. We proudly handed the Biden administration the most secure border in history. All they had to do was keep this smooth running system on autopilot. Instead, in the span of just a few weeks, the Biden administration has turned a national triumph into a national disaster. They are in way over their heads, and they're taking on water fast. Watch the water. Interesting, right? So the pathetic, clueless performance of Secretary Mayorkas on the Sunday shows today was a national disgrace. His self-satisfied presentation in the middle of the massive crisis he helped engineer is yet more proof he is incapable of leading the Department of Homeland Security. Even someone of Mayorkas' limited abilities should understand that if you provide catch and release to the world's illegal aliens, then the whole world will come. Furthermore, the Mayorkas gag order on our nation's heroic border agents and ICE officers should be the subject of an immediate congressional investigation, but it's clear they are engaged in a huge cover-up to hide just how bad things truly are. The only way to end the Biden border crisis is for them to admit their total failure and adopt the profoundly effective, proven Trump policies. Well, let's say not just Trump policies. How about put Trump back in the office where he belongs, where we believe he already is, and we're just watching a show. Most of us seem to be catching on to that. So what is Biden's foreign policy? Putin mocks Biden with live debate challenge Biden is too busy for.
And we know.
China says the U.S. no longer can negotiate from position of strength. I'm going to show you that in a second. And Biden begs Mexico to help stop the migrants after reversing the Trump policy. Bang up job, can't wait for day 59. So this is what happened with this debate. When you see how China talks to Biden's Secretary of State, Tony Blinken, check this out.
We'll also discuss our deep concerns with actions by China, including in Xinjiang, Hong Kong, Taiwan, cyber attacks on the United States, economic coercion toward our allies. Each of these actions threaten the rules-based order that maintains global stability.
倒打一把是不行的。
Well, you can't blame this problem on somebody else.
I have to tell you, what I'm hearing is very different from what you described. I'm hearing deep satisfaction that the United States is back, that we're re-engaged with our allies and partners. I'm also hearing deep concern about some of the actions your government is taking.
我们把你们想得太好了，我们认为你们会遵守基本的外交礼节。
Well, I think we thought too well of the United States. We thought that the U.S. side will follow the necessary diplomatic protocols.
所以我们刚才必须阐明我们的立场。
So for China, it was necessary that we make our position clear.
我现在讲一句，你们没有资格在中国的面前说你们从实力的地位出发同中国谈话。
So let me say here that in front of the Chinese side, the United States does not have the qualification to say that it wants to speak to China from a position of strength.
Isn't that interesting? The United States does not have the qualification to say it wants to speak to China from a position of strength. Basically knocking down this fake administration and telling them they could take a hike. So speaking of fake, remember we showed this R2-D2 projecting an image of what's supposed to be this guy named Biden, whoever this double is or clone or whatever he is. Very interesting because Ghost Ezra posts something I'd never seen before on how they can use technology to make and project people anywhere around the world. Pandemic. We have had enough. After that winter wake-up
And we
call
know.
and the breakdown of the power
He
grid,
knows
nobody
what's
can
going
deny
on.
we're all quite vulnerable.
Hey,
we saw power
welcome to
grid
Dirt
failure
Library.
and severe weather made,
Thanks for coming along.
which made the food supply chain come